Hello everybody and welcome to episode 61 or season 4 episode 2 probably of Twitch Tales. That's right, we are splitting them into seasons now to make it easier for people to catch up on or to jump in at certain areas without being too daunted by the fact that we have a lot of different episodes. Given that we've just leveled up to level 6, I think we've probably just entered season 4. I do know, however, that in the grand scheme it is episode 61. So where did we leave off in episode 60? Well, we started by ordering a cake to celebrate our birthday, but we did not want to pick up that cake on the day because we knew that it was not exactly the right feeling to take a cake to a funeral. So we bought a cake to be picked up the next day, and we bought a keg of ale to take to the wake. We went south of Fondirg town proper to Mark's funeral at the graveyard. We arrived a few minutes late, but managed to be there for most of the service. We gave our respects to him and his family, and then we headed to the wake, even further south at the greenhouse. There were a lot more hobbits at the greenhouse wake than there were at the actual funeral, and it was more of a party mood. Not so somber, more of a celebration. We had a fruity cocktail while we were there. Mel and Briar both got drunk, and then eventually, after the party wake was through, we escorted Briar back to her place. We started to level up the next day, and we got to level 6 over the next 6 days. We practiced fighting in the forest. We met up a few times with Joey, one of the guards of Fondirg. He took us to a fighting arena in Fondirg that doubles as a temple to a god Panros, god of martial artists and boxing and all that sort of stuff. And over the few days that we trained with him, we trained with fighting in the forest as well, training our moves and our fancy footwork. We also had some recurring dreams during that time, where we were visited by a green dragonborn who taught us to fight, or rather beat the crap out of us in our dreams until we learned how to fight. We discovered through a series of means, including the bone dice, that this green dragonborn creature that was coming to us in our dreams was one representation of the god Panros himself, who was taking an interest in us, yet another in a long line of gods who have shown an interest in Apis now. On one of the nights, we dreamt about 2 fairies, Trinket and Exilia, who gave us a bluish beetle and told us we need to work out what it does. It was a gift from some gentleman. In our waking life, it turned out that beetle had managed to appear on our person. And when we called for it, it scuttled out from our clothing and down onto our palm, where we asked it if it speaks Sylvan, and it seemed to understand. We told this beetle that we were looking for a portal, and it headed in a particular direction and pointed the way to a nearby portal. We checked that portal with our own detect portal ability and found that it was pointing in the right direction. It seems that this beetle, within reason, can point the way to any portals within range. We had a lovely dream about a calm, serene forest clearing, a glade with a lovely flat, glassy pool in it, and the memory of that calmness, finding calm within the adrenaline of a fight might be enough to give us a second wind. In game mechanics terms, we are now level 1 fighter. We have the second wind feature of a first level fighter, and we have the fighting style of unarmed fighting, so we are better with our hands and fists and kicks and headbutts and grapples and such, if ever we are to get disarmed from our weapons again. And that's where we'll pick up, with Apis in the town of Fondirg, waiting for some path to take. Apis is in lots of minds, as has been the case in the Discord chat and whatnot over the last couple of weeks, waiting to decide what to do. There's a lot of paths open to you. You could go north to Shadridge, through the Deadwoods and into Shadridge, and then even north through that into the Great Expanse and to the Four Sisters Elven villages. You could continue into the Lannis Woods and find the elven villages in the Lannis Woods. You could go south to the nearby dwarven city, or you could go back to your hometown to the south, Shafgushel. There's a whole bunch of things you could do, and it's entirely up to you. You could even go east over the mountains and into Orc territory if you really wanted to, for whatever reason. You could go portal hunting and just see and track and map all of the different portals of the island that you're on, Corintiel. It's all entirely up to you. Do we know what's in the 3 books in our inventory? We definitely do, Redial, yes. The 3 books in our inventory are one on planes, one on plants, one on portals. No, planes, plants, and potions. I remember that there's 3 Ps. You've got a book on plants, which is like a herbalism book. Tells you a little bit about the interesting uses of various different plants that are found in this particular area. You've got a book on the planes, which tells you a little bit about the different planes of existence, and there's a small chapter on other Horizon Walkers. Not even a chapter, like a couple of paragraphs on Horizon Walkers. And then there is a book on potions, which is just like a very specific, very simple introductory guide, like a beginner's guide to potion making. Just explains the process of making potions. Truth Dave says, aren't we still at Briars? Upon waking, can we add a copper piece, 4 silver and 5 gold to our purse from the quiver before we go out? Before we leave Fondirg, we should get an update on the braces. I'm all for heading Shadridge. Is there a bank there? There would be a bank in Fondirg as well. The banks in my world are they double as temples to the god of ownership and the god of possession and the god of money. He's a god of a lot of things. Listalak is his name. And his temples are banks, and you can store as much money as you want there, but every transaction comes with a percentage to the bank, essentially. So if you go to the bank and say, here's 100 gold for you to store on my behalf, they will do so, but they will take a certain percentage of it. Anyone wants to go? Yeah, you could go into the woods and deal with the necromancer that's out there as well. There is a necromancer that lives nearby in the Lannis Woods. Going to Shafgushel to look for some nebulous clues doesn't seem like a great idea now. We barely survived Lucifreak. I don't think an extra level's going to see us fare that much against his father. And Shafgushel's almost certainly in Ungohev's territory. The city we're beside right now, we were robbed there a few days ago, so people don't want to go back into it, not in the day. Anything we can learn from those books that we haven't read yet? Potentially, yeah, but it would take some downtime to read them if you really wanted to. Go to Shadridge and suss out what happened to the tiara for the old chap and go get the cloak, yeah. I vote to head to pick up our displacer cloak. Needs to catch up Miss Shadridge. Go to the bank, deposit all the money from the quiver. We have a secret river bank we could stop by. In the notes we had said to Briar we were going to head back to Shadridge. Yeah, but that doesn't mean like right now. I'm on board with getting that displacer cloak back. So a lot of people wanting to go north. Let's put it to a vote then, eh? Go to Shadridge, investigate the necromancer situation. Go to Shafgushel to the south. Go to Fondirg, or stay in Fondirg, or go to the south or elsewhere. Maybe like over the mountains. Maybe portal hunting. Maybe go to the Feywild. That's definitely a thing that you want to do as well at some point, because there is a certain gentleman of a merry disposition who is waiting for you to turn up in the Feywild, so that he can whatever he needs you for. Met the merry gentleman. He can wait. We're busy. He can come to us. Yeah, make an Archfey wait. That's only going to go well for you. All right, with 2/3 of the vote coming in for Shadridge or the Four Sisters, Apis decides that that's where they're heading. They are leaving Fondirg today to go north, back up through the Dead Woods towards Shadridge, and then once we get to Shadridge, maybe we go on to the Four Sisters. That'll be another vote once we get there, if we get there. Then about a quarter of you wanted a quarter of Apis decided that they wanted to go investigate the necromancer, but they decide that ultimately maybe that's a plot for another day. And maybe when you come back to Fondirg, you're gonna wish you had. Maybe when you come back to Fondirg, you're gonna wish you'd have investigated that necromancer sooner, because the world continues with or without you. And then there was maybe 12% of Apis that wanted to do anything else. So pretty big majority for Shadridge. What are we going to do before leaving? Apis has now made up their mind that they're going to Shadridge today. They're not going to investigate anything else or do anything particular. They just want to get to Shadridge. But in the morning, as you are getting ready to leave, is there anything else you want to do before leaving? Do you want to visit the bank to deposit a whole bunch of money that you have? So you can see down there in the coin purse that you've got a little bit of money in your pocket. You've also got 49 gold pieces stashed up at a riverbank near Shadridge. But you also have just discovered a big supply of money at the Green Dragon's hoard, and you have put it into a quiver of holding, essentially large interdimensional pocket space inside of your quiver of arrows, and you've stuffed a bunch of money in there. So you might want to visit a bank to secure that, but they will take a percentage. Visit Vala. Do you want to visit Vala? Because she is the head arcanist. She's the strongest wizard of town, and she's just been reincarnated. She's a little bit discombobulated because of the process of reincarnation, but she might be able to tell you a little more about what's going on in the area, or you might just want to visit her just to say hello. You could try and find a ride, ask if anybody's going up to Shadridge. You could visit Sam's store. Sam is a hunter that is a friend of yours and owns a hunting store. You might want to resupply with things. I think you're pretty good on most stuff, though. Or you might want to just leave. We're right, tipping between 50% and not on visiting Vala. All right, at the last second, we decided. Well, half of Apis' mind decided to visit Vala, with half of Apis' mind split pretty evenly across the other 4 options. So Vala is the clear winner there, and Apis decides right before leaving they're gonna pop into the hospital where Vala was being put up and looked after. Actually, yes, she was unwell before the 6 days of level up, so she has had 6 days to recover since then, so she might not be at the hospital anymore. Apis heads into Fondirg proper, heads over to the Arcanists' Entente, which is a sort of like a school in Fondirg where the Arcanists guild faction live and work. And you walk in and discuss with the receptionist that you want to speak with Vala, and she says that Vala is still on leave, but she's happy to pass a message on to see if you're interested in speaking. She stops and does like this sort of symbol in the air with her hand, and then speaks, and she kind of mumbles a little bit. You can't really make out what she's saying, but it's quite clear that she's doing a sending spell, similar to how Vala did to keep in contact with you while you were in captivity. At the end of this sending, she stops, holds her hand out for another few seconds while she hears the reply, and then she says, yes, she said she's happy to see you. And then she hops off of her stool and takes you through the next room and sort of directs you up a corridor around the left, take the stairs on the right. It's the one on the far end. It's a wooden door. You can't miss it. And so you follow those instructions. Shortly you are knocking on a door and the door opens. Vala is inside, and she allows you to enter. It seems she lives here on school grounds. You enter a relatively nice sort of like a what's it called, like a loft apartment kind of vibe. Pretty good, pretty well decorated and well homely looked after. It seems like she's lived here for a while from how lived in it is. A studio apartment perhaps, yes. And she seems to be much more herself. Obviously she's in a new body, but she's had like a week, well, just under a week to get used to it now. So she's coming right. What do you want to do? Those people who wanted to visit Vala, is there something particular you wanted to ask her, or did you just want to say goodbye before you leave Fondirg? You are now here. She takes you into her living area and offers you a drink. She goes to get herself some tea and pours some for you as well. Let her know that we're happy to assist her with the necromancer problem if she needs us. Tell her she's been really kind and give her a hug. Apis isn't really the hugging type. Apis in the past anyway. I mean, Apis could become a hugger, I suppose, but in the past Apis hasn't really been one for outward affection. we start with asking about the blood we gave her, because she is a specialist in blood magic, and it will be much nicer to open the conversation with a topic of the things she does for a living, rather than just be like, so about necromancer. So we say, how's the recovery going? Last we spoke, you're a little under the weather, and she says, yes, I'm feeling a lot better now. My brain functions seems to be coming along nicely. I'm understanding where I am and what I'm doing most times of the day. There's a couple of times in the early mornings that I'll wake and feel disassociated from my body. And I sometimes will stub my toe around the house because my feet aren't where they should be, and my head is a little different height than it's used to being and whatnot. But I'm getting used to it. It's definitely coming along. I feel like I can get back to work again soon, and the start of next week I think I'll be back to it. So have you had a look at the blood that I gave you? And she says, yes, I have actually. I'm quite excited to be starting some work on it. I've done some simple preservation magic on it at the moment, just to make sure that it's still viable and good when I get around to it. But yes, I'm looking forward to working with dragon blood. Thank you again for that. You say, oh, it's my pleasure. So you're getting used to the body? Yes, it's coming along quite a bit. I think it'll still get some getting used to, and she kind of just holds a hand up and looks at it and says, it'll take some getting used to. I think I feel clumsy when I'm picking things up. And you've noticed that when she was pouring you the tea, she was mostly fine, but occasionally she'd like misjudge depth perception or whatever and like knock the cup a little bit before she grabbed it. Preservation magic. We've actually got a vial of blood ourselves that we were going to take up north to Shadridge. Is that something you can do? And she says, yes, I suppose I could. It's can I see it? And you hand it over, and she says, oh, this is yes, that you should have preserved this a few days ago, I think. It's still fine. You sealed the vial, which is the main thing. It's not going to oxidize. It started to, and she starts tipping it. She started to coagulate a little. It's not going. I mean, it's still going to have its properties for the most part. And she mostly just starts mumbling to herself about some blood jargon. You can tell that this is not going to be. I suppose that this would. I mean, it's only a vial, so it's not going to be a great deal anyway. But it's probably enough to enchant with. It's good. Yes, I can. I'll see what I can do here. And she places it on the tray next to where the tea was. She says, just give me a moment though. I feel like in the mornings I still need to wake up a little. My morning brain is still a little fuzzy. What do you think about dragon blood? Does it have particular properties? Oh yes, yeah, very much so. It depends on the dragon that it came from as well, of course. Green dragon blood has particular properties with anti-venom and poisons, coincidentally, and somewhat contradictory. You can take various different parts out of green dragon blood and create a very potent poison or a very potent antidote to that same poison. It seems that the one and the same are running through the same veins. Of course, it's also got regular properties with all dragon blood, like the ability to enchant arrows of dragon slaying, for instance, weapons of dragon slaying if you have enough of the blood. There is properties of different planar travel at some. I mean, not in this sort of quantity. She gestures at the vial. Not in this sort of quantity, but in enough blood prepared in the right manner, you can usually use it to open portals, or to imbue portals with the ability to open to certain different planes of existence, usually tied to the elemental plane that the dragon is from. So obviously the green dragon, with enough of his blood, you'd be able to open a portal to the plane of poison, and plane of fire with a red dragon, and so on. Is there anything I can do for you in return for you preserving this for me? And she says, no, it's fine. These days I'm not using my full potential by the end of the day, because I'm just tired. So I'm not really doing the work that I would be. I'm not enchanting things. So I should have the energy to do it, and it wouldn't be a problem. Plus, it'll be good practice to get my brain back in the habit of enchanting things. I wish we had a clear sign from Rob. There's nothing more to do here. It's not going to ever happen. There's always going to be things to do here. You can do I run open world games, particularly for things like Twitch Tales. There is always going to be plots to follow. If you want a murder mystery, then you follow the plots that I'm giving you that are mysteries. If you want hack and slashes, then go out into the wild and look for trouble. Like, there's always going to be the plots that you want to follow will always be there, and there's always going to be things to do in Fondirg if you want to stay in Fondirg. So thank you for helping with the blood. I'm going to be heading to Shadridge today. And she says, "Oh yes, very nice. The journey should be relatively pleasant, I imagine, now that you've dealt with the green dragons and the manticore." You say, "Well, let's hope so." We donated to the PEA. Yes, we did. Yeah. Out of curiosity, should you have a look at our panpipes and see if there's any enchantments on them? You take the panpipes out and you say, just a random thing just came to me. I've been playing panpipes for several years now. But lately I haven't been playing very well on these. I feel like I'm not doing as good. Like, they're not enchanted, are they? These panpipes. I feel like maybe if they were, and she takes a look at them, it only takes her like 30 seconds of looking before she says, "No, there's no enchantments on those." Right? So maybe I'm just bad at them. Well, everybody gets better with practice, she says. On the subject of enchanting things, I'm having some bracers crafted at the local tanner out of green dragon hide. Is there any chance that you can work your gifts on those once they're ready? If you're up to it at the time. She says, "Oh yes, of course. That's the sort of thing that I do quite often for the Arcanists. Hopefully, I'm going to be getting back to it." What were you hoping to enchant them with? Side thought: I like that we're making Merry Gentleman wait. Merry Gentleman tries to confuse us and makes us wait constantly. Does Fondirg have a music shop? Town of 1,000 people. I'd say probably. It probably wouldn't be a specialised music shop. It would probably be a few different things, music and performing arts. Maybe it would be a temple to Jakipsos, the god of performing arts and performances and music and acting and dancing and all that sort of thing. So it would probably be a temple to him that doubles as a music shop, among other things. Maybe something that helps me with defense, like something that helps me in a fight, not get hurt as much. And says, "Oh yes, braces of defense are relatively straightforward. Then I'm not saying it's easy or quick magic to do. Any enchantment takes quite a while, but I could definitely. It's something I've done before." And unfortunately, I must warn you as well. It's a relatively costly process. How about something that could make me a better shot with a bow and arrow or something? Is there magic that can? And she says, "Oh, definitely yes. There's magic that can help guide your hands to your targets. I could enchant them that way. You can enchant them with both defense and archery, but basically with enchantments, the more you add to a particular item, the more costly it is, the more length of time that it uses, and sometimes the more unstable the magic can be. Overlapping things can be a little tricky. Usually, 2 enchantments won't be too unstable, but if you start to add too many more, it's going to get difficult. How about any spells that can like help me with my because I've mentioned I'm a Horizon Walker, right? And she says, yes, you've mentioned that. And you say, all right. How about any enchantments with like being able to pass into other planes? And she thinks for a moment and she sips her tea. There is an enchantment, a spell. Most Arcanists call it blink, because you sort of blink out of this existence and into another. Are you aware of the ethereal plane? What does Apis know about the ethereal plane? Let's roll a check for you. You've had your book. You've read a little bit about your book. Your book on the planes. 10 plus your 3 from intelligence, plus maybe another 1 from having that book. So 14. So you say I know a little of the ethereal plane. It's sort of like where ghosts go. And she says, kind of, not exactly. That's not its primary thing. The ethereal plane is a mirror plane to this one. It's overlaid on top of us. It's around us right now. We are both in the material plane and the ethereal plane right now. Only we usually exist and our senses in the material plane. There are spells that can allow the body to fully transport to the ethereal plane, so that we and our senses are in the ethereal, but still able to see the material. Things on the material can't tend to see us when we're in them. So it's a way of transporting short distances. It's a way of avoiding detection or contact. It's a defensive spell. I could potentially enchant your braces with something that could allow you to do that. It would probably be a limited time per day. It's a little strenuous on the body to constantly be in and out of the ethereal. So yes, you could enchant them with blink if you wanted to. Better at archery, yeah, you could enchant them with archery. What are the options? Whatever you want, Matt. Like, it's within reason. You tell me what you want them enchanted with, and I'll decide how expensive that's going to be and how much time it'll take and stuff. And like, if you want them enchanted with wish, you could have your braces enchanted with 3 wishes per day. But obviously, to do so will be like a several level long arc to get the ingredients needed to enchant. Like, I'm gonna always find some way of balancing what you want. So if you just want them enchanted with the ability to always smell like potpourri, that's going to be like less than a day. She'll enchant it for a few dollars, and that's your enchantment. If you want archery and defense, then that's going to be something a lot more substantial. Like, it's up to you guys. What do you want on your braces? They are green dragon hide braces, which will look awesome with your green dragon scales. And because they are dragon hide, it will make the enchantment slightly easier for her to do. But whatever you want on them is going to be up to you. Perhaps something more creative comes to mind if you all work together. Maybe perhaps something more creative comes to mind if you guys work together. You are playing Apis. Don't keep putting the onus on me to tell this story. I'm describing the world. You guys are telling the story as the main character. Could we give Vala the money to pay for our braces and get her to pick them up and enchant them while we're away? You could do that. Yeah, I suppose so. You say, I'm heading to Shadridge now. If I'm not back in a couple of weeks, would you mind picking up the braces for me? I can give you the money that I've paid him half now and half on pickup, but I don't want them just kind of sitting there and doing nothing. You could be looking at them and you can, do your work on them, whatever. She says, I could do, yes. How much is left to pay? And you say, I think it's 7 gold. You say, well, yes, I'm happy to take the money now and pick them up on your behalf if you would like me to do so. Ballpark figure, how much, I guess, would you say this is going to set me back? She says, it really depends on what you want. We would need to discuss exactly what enchantments you want and to what level. Even in terms of your defense or your archery, you've mentioned there are certain different levels of that enchantment, certain powers that I can imbue within it. In mechanical terms, you could enchant them with a +1, 2, or 3 to your armor class or your archery, but obviously the higher it is, the more difficult it is. I can't, as Robert, I can't come up with a figure for how much this is going to cost you until I know exactly what you're wanting from them, and then I'll need probably some downtime outside of game to think about it and balance it within my economy. Agree with all the archery comments. Would there be any enchantments that go with the Displacer Cloak? Well, the Displacer Cloak, for anyone who doesn't know already, what that does is it gives you an illusory image of yourself whenever it's activated. And when somebody attacks you for the first time on their turn or whatever, they have disadvantage. And if they hit you, the other image goes away and they no longer have disadvantage. But at the start of your turn, it comes back again. So somebody will always have disadvantage to hit you until you have taken attacks. So braces that can go well with that is up to you. Does the cloak and blink braces and pass without a trace all stack? Yep. Everything that doesn't do the exact same wording will stack. So you can't cast guidance on a guy twice, but you can cast guidance and then something else that gives him a d4 to his attacks or whatever. So anything that isn't the same word, the same tag word, the same keyword, it will stack on top of one another. So the cloak will give people disadvantage to hit you. Blink will mean that you're disappearing at the end of each of your turns into the ethereal plane. And Pass Without a Trace gives you +10 to stealth. They're not even remotely the same. They'll have defensive properties, but then they aren't the same abilities at all, so they would absolutely all stack. I think something to do with archery is a definite, probably more than just the minimum, since we'd be going, we keep keeping the braces for a good long while to come. A point or two to our arm class wouldn't go astray either. I think we're getting off track with talking about all of this at this point, because like your braces won't be done. That you only dropped them off yesterday. They won't be done for a long time. They've got at least 2 weeks of tanning them and getting them made, because it was just raw dripping hide from a dragon. Sorry, they dropped them off 6 days ago. That's right. I keep forgetting that you've had 6 days of level up. So you dropped them off just under a week ago. So you've got a week and a bit left, because they've got to be tanned. So you might be able to pick them up like from actual usable material in the next couple of days. But the leather worker, once it's actually usable leather, then he's got to cut them and stitch them and make them into braces that would fit your arms. So that'll take some time as well. So you've probably, I'd say, got at least 6 days to a week before they're pick-upable and usable. Can Vala ask us in our head when they're ready? Yes, absolutely. You say you can. I'll tell you what. We'll just give me a plus, a thumbs up or a thumbs down in the chat if you want to give Vala the 7 gold that's remaining on the braces, and get her to pick them up when they're ready. She can then just ping you with a sending spell and say, "Here, your braces are ready." Can she call Apes at noon once she picks them up? not waking you up anymore. All right. That's it. Overwhelming yes. You're going to give Vala the remaining gold. Somebody correct me if I'm misremembering that it was 7 gold. I think it was 7. It was either 7 or 8. I can't remember whether you paid the lion's share up front or not. The gold amount on your person down to 1 gold remains. Paid 8, 7 left. There you go. So you give her the 7 gold and you say thank you very much for that. Because Apis is like this, and I know that a lot of you would agree, you give her a silver for her trouble as well. Thank you very much for doing that for me. And she says, it's my pleasure. And you say, can you? I know you were messaging me before when I was. I know you were messaging me before when I was in the Green Dragon's lair. Is it possible for you to do that again when you've picked them up? She says, yes, I should be able to. It depends on how busy I've been that day. Often it takes something out of me to do that. It's not something I can do unlimited times, but I should be able to manage a single one on whatever day it is. Hopefully by then we're not in such a state of emergency as we were with Lucifreak, so I wasn't using all of my. I won't be using all of my my power each day. All right. So in a few days' time, when the braces are actually done and ready to be enchanted, she will go and pick them up on your behalf if you're not in Fondirg by then, and then she will message you with a sending spell and say, Apis, your braces are ready. Is that everything you wanted from her? She's going to now preserve your vial of blood, and then you can head off to Shadridge. Is that everything you wanted? Anything else you wanted to ask her? Oh, you wanted to ask her about the necromancer? Yes, you wanted to ask about the necromancer. You say, you sort of like, there's a lull in the conversation while you both kind of sip your tea. And then she says, I hope it's not too awkward of me to bring this up. And she says, yes, I was kind of thinking that you might. You say, what do you know of the necromancer? And she says, he is not a problem. I'm gonna get you guys to roll an insight check for me. Which is, what's your insight? It's a +2. You're not proficient in insight. So +2 onto that is a 15, +2, 17. With a 17, you can tell she's quite clearly choosing her words carefully. You can also read that she is reluctant to talk about this and that she was kind of wishing that you hadn't brought it up. I'd say with a 17, that's about all you read from that first sort of interaction. What do you want to ask her about specifically? You say, you know that you can trust me, right? Whatever you say here, it stays here. She says, yes, I know, that's not my concern. Can we help him somehow? And she looks at you. No. I wish that we could. Would it help if I brought back the tiara? And she cocks her head and looks confused at that genuinely. And there was a tiara sent from Fondirg to the town of Shadridge, up to the necromancer that was there. And she says, "Oh, I don't know anything about that. If he does become a problem, or you need help assisting him, we want to help. I just want to make sure that he's not going to be trouble. We just got done dealing with Fondirg's dragon problem, and we hardly need a necromancer problem taking the place." And she says, "He's not a problem. He's been here for a lot longer than that dragon has. I'm aware of his existence and have been for some time. I don't want that getting out. Do you understand? I do not need people knowing that I'm helping him with his problem. I understand. You'll also understand I'm not helping him with his necromancy, right? I'm helping him with his problem. I don't know what his problem is, but I understand that you're not involved in the work he's doing. Correct. Tell her the necromancer was interested in the tiara for some reason. I think it might help, but we don't know how. He has shown some interest in that tiara." She says, "What? Tell me about this tiara." You say, "Well, in the manticore's loot, when I killed the manticore, one of the things was just a whole bunch of he'd taken a bunch of supplies from here to Shadridge. There were bags of wool that was being sent to the weaver. The weaver was Sally, and Sally was the one who was the necromancer of Shadridge, who was killing people and taking their shadows to turn into these shadow monstery things. And in one of these bags of wool was a tiara. It was hidden, and it was exuding a magic that I identified as necromantic magic. I gave it to what's her name, Felicity, and she says, yes, from the Arcanists. And she said, yeah, she was interested and took it and said that she would look at it. And then I told Kathleen, the Knight of Shadridge, and she said that she would go and talk to Felicity and discuss this item and take it off her if needed or whatever. That's all I know about it. And then I've mentioned it. Did you mention it to the necromancer when you met him in the woods? Did you mention the tiara? I can't remember the exact interaction that happened there. We did mention it, yeah. And then we mentioned it to the gentleman in the woods, and he was interested in what was being sent out that way. And when I mentioned Sally, he was interested in who she, well, not who she was, he seemed to know who she was. But we talked about the tiara, and she says, so he knew this necromancer of the of Shadridge. And you say, aye. She goes quiet for a second and her eyes start to dart around. You can definitely tell that she's starting to think through a few different things. She's starting to potentially make some connections or look for some connections. There's stuff going on for her with this information. Also, I should mention that at the meeting where people were discussing who should be brought back with the ritual that brought you back, it was mentioned that you knew, and it was mentioned that you knew this necromancer in the woods. She got kind of like snaps out of whatever she was thinking about and looks you directly in the eye this time. It seems like the information is out there that there's the necromancer and you know him. She puts her hand to her face. Who knows? You say, me, your assistant, Nira, the mayor, Nim. She sort of like rubs her head. Okay. What was said about it? Just that there was a necromancer and it was possible that he could bring somebody back, and she kind of hand waves and says he can't bring people back. See, okay. It was posited as a possible alternative for the reincarnation, and the fact that you had some sort of connection to this guy, it might have meant that we could have brought back Mark, for instance. And she says it's not an avenue we should pursue. Okay. Nira mentioned that you were trying to help him with his problems, but didn't make out like it was you helping him with the necromancy. Her eyes are darting again. Did Nira say how she knew? She just said that you had some discrepancies in your schedule sometimes, and she kind of looked into it, and she kind of like gives this sort of half chuckle, like a laughter out of frustration sort of a situation. She goes, yeah, I suppose that's on me for hiring someone so studious. Look, you can trust us, and I think you can trust them too. We wish to help. She says, yes, I know, you can't. She's getting a little bit more forceful with that one. Not like snippy or rude, but like just a touch of frustration at repeating herself, I think. What happened with the kobolds in the well? The last you heard, they were slain. You heard it from Vala in a sending spell as like a one-off, like a side thing among much other information she was giving. She also said kobolds are dealt with, or kobolds are slain, or something. Maybe you should arrange a meeting of sorts with those who know and clear the air, as it were. We don't want them to pursue it if he can't help, and you seem to know the most about him. Yes, I'll certainly be talking to those who know. Well, glad you're feeling better, Vala. I just wanted you to know. I appreciate you telling me. Oh, now that I think about it as well, I did tell the knights, the King's Royal Cross, I told them about the existence of the necromancer, and her eyes go to you with like suddenly wide. What? When did you? And she gets to her feet. When did you tell them? It was before the fight with Luciferique. What did you tell them? Where did you tell them where he was? She is very concerned all of a sudden. It was during the battle that I didn't know that it was obviously it was going to be important. And she walks around the back of her couch now, and she's like pacing. What do they know? Where exactly did they? When Did they say that they were going to deal with him? What did they say would happen? I don't know what they said would happen. I'm sorry, I didn't mean... And she says, it's not... I need to go. And she goes towards the door to grab her overcoat. And you see, I told him about them as well. When I saw him, I told him that the King's Guard were coming. And she stops with her hand on her coat and turns around and says, "You told him that the King's Guard were on their way?" And you say, "Yes." "Okay. I really need to go." And she takes her cloak off, puts it over her shoulders and puts the hood up and says, "You can make your way out. I thank you, Amos. I need to go." And she opens the door and leaves. The door slams behind her. And your vial of dragon blood is left on her tea tray, unpreserved. Kinda want to follow her? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Do you want to follow her? Yes or no? Interesting. Halves and halves, kind of. I'm going to put this to an actual poll because this is like a half and half situation. There's clearly dissent in Apis' mind about whether to follow or not. We do have a second level spell slot available today and Pass Without a Trace, which can give us a +10 to our stealth check if we wanted to secretly go after her. We already decided what we were going to do, yes, but then there's new information has come to light now. We decided that we were going to go to Shadridge. And then something else has happened, so time for a revote. All the threads, all the time. I keep having to remind you, there's always going to be stuff happening. If you keep following her here, that's another day that you're not going back to Shadridge and whatever was happening in the Great Expanse that I was hinting at several weeks ago. I guarantee you, there is not a dead end. Like, you can just keep following things and there will always keep being more. I keep things moving. The NPCs and stuff move because of the actions that you take and because of the actions that the NPCs want to take, like the goals that they individually have. Ties her up down and beats the answers out of him. 47% say no, which means that 50% said yes. So we are going to put it to a poll again. Not many people wanted to go yes openly, but they were split between yes and yes, so I'm going to preferential voting. All right, now that it's the people who wanted to vote to follow her openly, obviously many of them was either that or don't follow at all. So we now have a clear winner with 61% of the vote. Still, it's less than 2/3 of Apis' mind don't want to follow. About 40% of Apis' mind want to follow her, but as she gets up and leaves the door closes behind. As much as you want to follow, you decide, no, let's not. Let's leave her to what she's got to do. If she needs help, she knows where we are, and she's got the sending spell. She can message us, yes. We get someone else to preserve that vial and pass the news to the assistant. All right, so you grab the vial from the dinner tray. You stand up and head to the door yourself. Open the door, close it behind you, and head out into the hall. You go back downstairs. For argument's sake, let's say it's Nira that's on reception at the moment. I think it usually is. You ask Nira on your way out. This vial. Do you happen to know preservation magic?
She says, "Oh, you'd have been better asking Vala for that. She's the specialist in blood magic, and preserving organic material takes more of a knowledge of that."
And you say, "Hey, she just left." And she says,
"Yes, I saw. Where was she going? She didn't tell me."
And you say, well, actually, it's up to you. What do you say? Do you lie? Do you tell her you don't know? What? She asks, "Where was she going?" Because she just kind of shot out the door. Don't tell her. Don't lie. You just say Vala didn't tell us where she was going. See, I don't know. She didn't tell us where she was going. I'm not sure. But she was going to preserve this for me and got a little bit distracted. Is there anyone else who can preserve it? And she says,
"Oh, I can try.
and you hand it over. And she takes out, she opens a drawer and gets out like a personal bag, kind of like a handbag situation, and opens it up, and she's looking through there. She gets out like a small pouch, like a coin pouch. She opens it up and ties it up again. That's the wrong one. Oh, here it is. She gets out a similar bag out of her little handbag, and she opens up the little drawstring pouch and takes out a pinch of something, kind of looks like dried herbs or some kind. And then she, without opening the vial, sort of tips it on its side and does little sprinkles of something over the top of it. And as she's saying it, she's speaking in some kind of chanting language. Sounds almost elvish. And she's going to try and cast a sort of a spell on this. I'm just going to roll to see how well she does with it. She says, I think that'll do it. I'm not. It's been a while since I've done this sort of thing. It's not the easiest thing to do. I think you're good there. Sorry if it's not quite. It's okay. Thank you for trying. I appreciate it anyway. How much do I owe you for that? She says, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. I'm not even sure that I did it right, so I can't exactly go and charge you for it. You see her put a little pouch away back in her handbag and put the handbag back in the drawer, and she closes it. Insight. Does she think she knew she ruined it? Did she screw it up? Insight check from Apis 5 + 2, 7. You can't read on her face any sign that she thinks she screwed it up. Just fill the vial with salt. That's a preservative. Yeah. So, anything else? You have visited Vala. You have gotten her to run off into wherever she's going. You've got your blood vial preserved, maybe. It's time for you to leave, or anything else that you were going to do before you... you wanted to catch a lift now, yeah. Do we have a horse we can use? We do not have a horse we can use, but we could try and catch a lift off someone who's going up that way, or get a horse. What to do before leaving? This episode's going to start with us deciding to go to Shadridge and end with us maybe actually leaving the town to go to Shadridge. What to do before leaving? Go to the bank was still an option. Try catch ride. Some people, the last time some people said buy a horse, so I'll add that as an option. Buy or rent a horse, and I think that's it. Or just leave. 2 minutes to decide. Now that we've ticked off Vala from the list. 45% of you wanted to buy or rent a horse. That is not a majority, so I will drop the bank because nobody wanted that. If those two people had voted for that, it would have been a majority, so therefore preferential voting says those three options are given to you. You can try buy a horse, you can try and rent a horse, you can catch a ride, or you can just leave. If you try and catch a ride, it means actually trying to find somebody who's going to Shadridge. Might not be anybody going to Shadridge. What time of day is it? Early morning still. It's like, well, mid-morning, maybe like 10 or something. Renting costs the same. I'm pretty sure it would have to give collateral. You will have to give some sort of a down payment in order to rent a horse from a place like this. I would call the horse Meat Shield. Catch a ride or buy a horse coming up almost 50% each. Nobody's just wanting to leave or rent a horse. So we still haven't got quite a majority. Catch a ride or buy a horse. Catch a ride, buy a horse. How much is a horse? Let me try and remember. In the economy of D&D, I think they're like 70 gold or something, aren't they? 75 in the player's handbook. 75 gold pieces. That is $1,500. All right, we're very close to people wanting to either catch a ride with somebody already going that way or buy a horse. But 51% of Apis' mind. This is why every vote counts, everybody. Every vote counts. If you're sitting there thinking, oh, what should we do, you should get in and vote, because otherwise it goes the other way by one vote. 51% of Apis' mind decides that they're going to buy a horse. So that's what we're going to do. and I am going to look up horse prices. Let me think. How many thousands of dollars in today's money, adjusted for inflation, would it have cost to buy a horse in the medieval times? It would have been a significant amount of a person's wage. They would have been a hell of an investment. 75 gold. I think that's not too far off actually for once with the economy. I think that's actually about where I'd pitch it. 75 gold. Yeah, I think that's about right. Okay, yeah. They were more common back then. There were people who bought them and sold them often. It would have been harder to... Yeah, I think it would have been right, though. About 75 gold seems right to me. You go find a holster who is, let's say... she's a woman. She's human. She's relatively young, probably in her late 20s or so, and she works on the she's probably on the south of town. So you go and is it hostler, not holster? There you go then, a hostler, whatever it is. You find a horse person, and you go to the south of town, to nearby where the greenhouses were. You find a person who breeds horses, and you buy from her. You ask her for the price of a nice riding horse, and she says that it'd be 75 gold. You can try and bargain her down. You can try and haggle, as with most things in a D&D society. Prices are a little bit haggleable, but she's not going to drop it to like 50 because it's not going to be that much of a massive thing. So let's just roll you a charisma check to see how charming you're being. That's not good without touching it. Let me go to the dice cam, turn that on. 4, you can see. So I got a 4 plus 1 charisma, so 5. You are not doing a good job of haggling. She says, "Now I understand your need for a horse. Unfortunately, I have a need for gold as well, so I can't just give you a horse for less than I've asked. If I thought the prices could be lower, to be fair, I would have already pitched them as lower, to be fair. So 75 gold or you don't get a horse. I'm sorry, bud, but that's just how it is." You didn't do a very good job of it with only a 5 in persuasion check, so she's not going to drop the gold if you want a horse today. But it's missing a leg. You need to out of 75 gold if you want to buy a horse. Can we do a deal on saddles and things? She says, "I'll tell you what I can do. I will sell you it with the riding tack involved. I won't give you the saddlebags, but I'll make sure you've got a saddle and reins and a bit. Is that good? Thumbs up, thumbs down. You want to pay 75 gold for a riding horse and saddle?" Yes, has it. It's definitely the majority, not a unanimous decision, but it is a majority decision. Does the horse already have a name so that we can cut arguments out? Nice try, but that's going to be another decision for you guys to make. I won't make you make it in the chat right now because nothing else will happen today. But I will mark down that you have spent 75 gold out of the equipment. Apis decides, yes, all right, we'll take you up on that then. 75 gold it is. Do you have an outhouse real quick? And you pop off to a secret space where you can get your 75 gold out of your quiver and place it into your coin pouch, and then you walk back and say, "Thank you very much, here's the 75 gold," and you drop the 75 gold for her. I will mark off 75 gold from your hoard that you have in your quiver. What colour should the horse be? You guys have to decide that as well now. I'm not going to do that in chat. You can decide on the colour of your horse, you can decide on the name of your horse, but you have a horse. Apis has bought a horse, and let's see how long you keep it alive for. She sets you up a bit bridle and saddle and reins. She can sell you food and saddlebags if you want. Saddlebags. She will sell you saddlebags and a couple of days of feed for 5 gold. Yes or no? Can we enchant the horse so it doesn't die and we'd have to feed it? No? You sure? The horse can just eat grass if you're going into a place where there's grass. In order to get to Shadridge, you have to go through a place called the Dead Woods. There's not a lot of grass in the Dead Woods. All right, seems reasonable. All right, so that takes us down to that. Mark off another 5 gold, and she sets you up with some saddlebags and enough dry food for the horse for a couple of days. It's not going to live that long. Don't worry about it. Okay, so you finally get on your horse. Since you're south of town anyway, you ride the short distance over to the greenhouse and say goodbye to your Pencampur and Emgleshed druid friends. You say goodbye to Briar and say thanks for having me and everything. I'll be back in a little while to pick up some things anyway, so I'm not going for forever. But I'll see you in like a week or 2 or 3 or however long it takes for me to get stuck into the next arc of the campaign and then and then get distracted and then finally come back here in a year and a half. Then you head north through the town, out onto the north of Fondirg. On your way, Joey is at the northern gates today and lets you out. You say goodbye to him and you're out. Finally, we're out of Shadridge, out of Fondirg, and we're on the way to Shadridge. You ride for most of the day, the rest of the day, until you arrive towards the edge of where the Lannis Woods kind of stop, and there is this large salted earth firebreak kind of region between here and the Deadwoods, where a region of forested, a region of dead and decaying forest, where there seemed to have been a major termite problem that has turned this forest into mulch for the most part. And then you head into the Deadwoods just as it's starting to drop into evening. The option for you now is, do you want to push on for the evening and try and get all the way through the Dead Woods, or do you want to set up a camp and sleep here? You cannot make it all the way to Shadridge by the time you need to sleep, but you could push through the night theoretically and just get a point of exhaustion. You have slept in the Deadwoods before, with Mel in tow, and she helped keep away some of the bugs and things. You have also seen a huge dog-sized termite while you were in the Deadwoods. You know there are creatures that live in the Deadwoods, but you've not had too much of an issue with them before. You've been through the Deadwoods, I think, 3 times? Will the horse get exhausted? If you keep pushing on, the horse will definitely get exhausted, yes. Put a thumbs up if you want to keep pushing on at the risk of exhaustion. Keep pushing for as long as you can till you're too exhausted to carry on. Put a thumbs down if you want to spend the night camping here in the Dead Forest, the Dead Woods. Mostly in the no's, I think. I'm seeing more no's than I'm seeing yes. Can we find that Manticore's lair to sleep in? You could have, yes, but it was like a couple hours back. You've already passed it. Alright, so we are going to set up camp here then. We set up our camouflaged hammock situation that we did the first time we were in the Deadwoods, but now we have a horse. Oh, did we have a horse the first time as well with Mr. Ed? I think he was with us at the time. You get out your net that you have here. You get off your cloak that can turn to different colours and fashions that you want. You turn it into this like dead foresty looking material on the underground and put it on the bottom of the net, so anybody looking up doesn't necessarily see that there's somebody in that net. You string it up between a couple of trees, and then you head to sleep with Mel watching guard and the horse tied up nearby. And you've tried to get yourself a long rest. However, as you are sleeping, there is a sort of a growling noise. And then you are woken by a very loud horse whinny. Good thing we didn't name it. Wasn't Mel keeping watch? She has to sleep as well. You have to sleep at some point. There's not enough of you in a one-person party to keep watch all throughout the night while also still getting a rest. Mel kept watch for a little bit, and then not enough. There goes the horse. You wake up, come to, and you look down to where you tied up the horse, and you can see that it's kind of like straining against the rope that you tied it up with, and it's whinnying. It's not hurt. There's nothing around that can hurt it, but it seems like it's freaking out about something. What do you want to do? This is why I didn't want a horse. Thanks, chat. Just let the horse die to teach the other brain cells financial responsibility. Just investigate what startled the horse. Alright, so let's have a look around. Let's first just roll a perception check. It is dim light. Well, it's dark light. It's darkness. And so, actually, it's relatively close to a full moon, isn't it? It's like a week after a full moon. Let's have a look. Timeline. Apis' birthday, and then we did 6 days of whatever. So it's about a week-ish after the full moon, and so let me roll for weather. It's kind of overcast, so not the greatest on not the greatest weather, not the greatest on moonlight. So it will be at disadvantage. You do have dark vision. It's only 60 feet, and it turns darkness into dim light. And when you're in dim light, perceptions are at disadvantage. So that one was cocked. Let me grab both that one and this one. Where's the other Apis dice? Got 2 Apis dice. We'll roll them both. Pow. Got a 9 or a 6. So 9. So 6 with disadvantage. 6 plus your perception of. Yeah, I'll say this is forest bonus because you are in a dead forest. So plus 8, so 6 plus 8, still 14. It's not bad. With the 14, you can see that there are no giant termites around that would have startled the horse. It seems. It seems to be whinnying and pulling away from a particular direction, like the direction that you came from. And it's kind of it seems like something over there, maybe that it can't see right now, but maybe that's something that it was able to see when it woke you, when it first whinnied. Maybe something moved that way and then startled it, and then now it knows that there's something in that direction, but it doesn't know what it is. It just has a general fear of that direction, perhaps. It definitely seems like it's afraid of something, but nothing that you can see. Giant termites, I said because you have seen giant termites in this particular forest before. How much sleep did we have? It doesn't feel like a lot. It's dark. It's definitely a couple hours darker than when you went to sleep, it seems. But you don't know exactly what time it is. You call Mel down. She buzzes down to you and sleepily comes around. What is wrong, Apis? What's the matter? The horse is scared of something. Can you see anything around? No. I mean, could you see if there's something around? Oh, you want me to fly? Okay. Okay, yes, I will see if you're fine with this, to see if there's. She brings up her wings and takes off from the hammock area and buzzes off in that direction. Do we want to light a torch? We did not have a campfire. Do we want to light a torch, yes or no? It's on the fence. I think it's slightly more no's than yeses. Let me put it to a 1 minute poll real quick. There's benefits and drawbacks. Obviously, lighting a torch means you can see more, but also other things in the forest can see you. We do have dark vision, but it's only 60 feet, which isn't very far. 60 feet is less than 20 meters. It's about 18 meters. And on top of that, it's not perfect vision in the dark. It just means that darkness becomes dim light and dim light becomes bright. So it just shifts your ability to see slightly better. Nighttime vision, essentially. But it's not like the best vision still. Lighting a torch would still reveal more, or allow us to see more if there is anything there to be seen. I have also mentioned multiple times that this forest is pretty much entirely dead and rotting wood, so lighting a torch has additional potential drawbacks. Alright, we've decided no, we're not going to light a torch. The drawbacks are too numerous. There's a potential that the torch could get out of hand and light the forest on fire, or it could make us a target for things if there is anything here. Alright, so no, we're not going to light a torch. Poll. cast protection on the horse? Question mark. I saw that being suggested, so I'll put it to the poll. Yes or no? We're going to cast protection from evil and good on the horse. It is a spell that allows confers disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks and saving throws and things against made against the horse by certain creatures from the outer planes of existence. So elementals, fae, fiend, undead, that sort of thing will have disadvantage on attacking the horse if you cast it. However, it will take one of your spell slots to cast, obviously. You have 6 spell slots for the entire day. Do you want to cast one on the horse on the off chance that it could keep it alive? Protection from good and evil doesn't specify what... You don't have to specify what you're protecting from. It protects from it all. With 58% of the vote, you decide, yes, you are going to cast protection from good and evil on the horse. So for people who don't know what that does, let me read it for you. Protection from evil and good is a first level spell. Lasts for 10 minutes or until you drop concentration. One willing creature that you touch, in this case it'll be the horse, is protected against certain types of creatures: aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. So, if there is something here that is going to potentially be a danger to the horse, that is an aberration, a celestial, an elemental, a fae, a fiend, or an undead, then he should be protected against those. It grants several benefits. Creatures of those types have disadvantage on attack rolls against the target. The target cannot be charmed, frightened, or possessed by them. If the target is already charmed, frightened, or possessed by such a creature, the target has advantage on any new saving throw against the relevant effect. Okay. We climb off of our hammock net and drop down to the floor next to the horse that's... and we use our animal handling to try and calm him down a little bit. Let's just roll that. Animal handling is +5 for us. +5 onto 18, 23. So you manage to calm the horse down. Slow it down. You reach right up, and you calm the horse down enough that you can get close enough. You get your your pouch of powdered silver out. You can see it down there. Look. Let me go into pouch. Powder number. There we are. Look, we are using one usage of the powder that we got finally, and we are sprinkling the powdered silver, remembering what it was that that the elven alchemist wizard person up in the Four Sisters towns told us about how to cast this spell. We're placing it at the different chakra points of this horse and protecting it at various different areas, and then they all kind of blow away in the wind, leaving behind this protective barrier of energy over the horse. And you are now concentrating on that spell for the next 10 minutes. What now? Some people wanted to cast Primeval Awareness to see if there were any creatures of a particular type in the area nearby. What do you want to do? Do you want to just saddle up and get the hell out of here and just risk the exhaustion, or do you want to try and go back to sleep now? Or do you want to go out into the forest and try and find what managed to deal with it or something? Go out into the forest and find the problem. What can we hear? Well, with your 14 perception from earlier, you can kind of hear the sounds of just a quiet forest. There's a couple of snaps of twigs just in the forest, somewhere in the a few hundred feet around you, just seemingly from small critters. Nothing huge, no big heavy footsteps. You listen and wait for Mel. Keep an arrow ready. So you draw one of your arrows from the bow, from the quiver, get your bow out and ready, and then eventually you hear coming back in your direction pretty fast. A buzzing potbelly pig-sized bee coming in your direction with her leather armor on, and coming your beelining for you, if you excuse the pun. I will have you roll an insight check to see if you can tell what she has seen or what is going on for her at the moment. It's cocked between a 15 and a 12, so could have been either. Plus your insight of 2 is going to be pretty good anyway. Either way, you can tell that she's panicked. She is in a hurry. She has seen something she did not want to see, and she's coming with great speed towards you. What do you want to do? You cannot smell blood. She's probably about 50 feet from you at this point. Ready and aim. You shout, what was it, Mel? And from this distance she says, we should move, it's big, it's really big. Untie the horse, hop on, prepare to ride. Alright. So you quickly, you turn around, you scrabble in with the horses hitching. I'm going to roll just because it's a panicked situation and there is a possibility of, if you fail, something actually happening. I'm going to roll to see how well you untie the horse. That is a 2. A 2 means you are fumbling with this rope a little bit. You had to quickly put your arrow away, put your bow over the shoulder. And now you're tired and your fingers are cold and you're untying the horse, but it's taking a little while. Mel has caught up to you at this point, and now you can hear growling and big thumping footsteps coming through the trees to your south, right where you'd come from. You get the horse free at this point. Dagger the rope. Get a dagger out, cut the rope, and up and onto the back of the horse. You've still got your net and your cloak tied up as a hammock in the tree above you. Are you just leaving them? You can always come back for them another day. But you have your cloak of fashions and the net above you. Thumbs up for grab them. Thumbs down for leave them. Your net is tied at both ends to a tree. It is a hammock, so grabbing them will not just be a simple action. Ooh, interesting. Lots of yeses and nos. Let's put this to an actual poll. Oh yeah, pass without a trace is a good idea as well. Alright, I'm going to first put it to a poll to cast pass without a trace, yes or no, because that will give you a stealth bonus of +10, and you might be able to get ahead without, might be able to then, that might influence what your decision is about your items. Pass without a trace is a concentration spell, I believe. Yes, pass without a trace is concentration. If you cast pass without a trace to give yourself the advantage on the stealth, or the bonus to the stealth, you will lose your protection from evil and good on the horse that you are concentrating on. Pass without a trace will cover you, the horse, and Mel, yes. As long as you're all within 30 feet of each other, you can all gain the benefit of a +10 to your stealth. The horse won't necessarily know to be stealthy, no, so the horse won't necessarily be making stealth checks, but it'll have a plus bonus to its passive stealth, which is good. Mel is also not the stealthiest person, but she will have a +10 to her passive either way. Alright, so even though it will drop the concentration on the other one, and it's a 2nd level spell, you decide that it is worth it to get the hell out of here. Mel has just told you it is big and it's coming, we should move. You cast pass without a trace, you hop onto the back of the horse, you think about grabbing your stuff. Oh god, what if it sees us? You calm yourself, you take a couple of deep breaths, you breathe in the shadows around you, you breathe them out over your person. Again, you feel like with every breath you are you are creating ripples in the shadows around you, bringing them in closer and keeping them there, bringing them in closer and keeping them there. You cast pass without a trace as you and your entire 30-foot surroundings gets wreathed in darkness and silence. Well, not exact silence, but dulled down as if listening to something through a large blanket. Mel's wings goes suddenly a lot quieter. You can hear this getting louder, and it's definitely the charging of something. I'm going to make a... What would this be? Hearing the sounds. Can you put it together? Nature check. I'm going to make this a nature check. 12 plus your nature. You are not proficient in nature, so it is just a +3. A 15. This sounds like galloping, but it sounds like rhythmic, arrhythmic pounding. Whatever is running with a somewhat inconsistent gait. It is almost impossible for you to tell how many feet this thing has. It could be more than one animal, perhaps. It could have more than 4 legs, perhaps. It seems like, however large it is much larger than a horse. You now have the option. Do we stay here and grab our stuff? Yes or no. Remember that grabbing the net, it is tied to a tree like a hammock, so getting it down is not exactly a single action thing. You can cut through it, but then you're damaging your net, obviously. It's faster than we are. If we run, it'll catch us. Best to stay and be prepared. You don't know if it's faster than your horse. Your horse at a gallop can go 120 feet, minus the weaving between trees and things. It's just a normal net. It is just a normal net. We can always just reach and grab the cloak and not the net, yeah? How do we tie it to the tree? Just regular rope, I imagine. Or the bowler bits at the end of the net, because this is a net that has weighted edges, weighted corners. So you've probably just wrapped a couple of those around and tied them together. Alright, 62% say we are going to stay and grab our stuff. So you quickly stand yourself up in the saddle of your horse and use that to reach up and grab onto the tree. You shimmy your way up, and just as you're grabbing a hold of the net, you see it enter the vision behind you. You can't stop yourself from turning to look at what this thing is. I'm going to need a stealth check from each of you and the horses and things to see how you're going with your stealth. You've got a +10, +3 from Dex, so you've got a +13. You're proficient in stealth, so that's a +3 from that as well. So you've got a +16 to your stealth. How quiet and stealthy are you being as you're going? Do you get forest bonus? You're in a forest. Are you using the forest to your advantage? Okay, I'll be kind. You get a +3. You get another +3 because of forest bonus. So you get a +19 to your stealth roll. You already got forest bonus earlier? You did, yes. It applies to any check that I deem appropriate while you're in a forest, while you're in your favoured terrain. All right, +19 to your stealth check. Here we go. Dice cam. 19. 19 + 19. So you have a 38 stealth roll. Not a normal type of DM, just like, yeah, you always get favoured terrain. Favoured terrain isn't super useful, so I tend to allow for, like, if it makes sense, if you can argue that being in a forest, your proficiency with knowing everything there is to know about a forest helps you in a particular thing, then I'll be like, yeah, I'll allow it in this situation. You are 38 on stealth because you're passed without a trace. Then the horse gets a +10 from that. He's not trying to be stealthy, so he's not got anything. He definitely doesn't get forest bonus. He doesn't have proficiency in stealth, so it's just a +10 for the horse. Not bad. 27 for the horse. And then Mel, who has disadvantage on stealth because of her buzzy wings, has disadvantage but a +10, and then she's got a +4 for dexterity, and she's not proficient in... I don't have Mel's stats. I should remember to get Mel's stats out. She's got a +4 for dex, I remember that though. She doesn't have proficiency in stealth, she doesn't get plus bonus to forest or anything, so for her it's just a +14. +14 but disadvantage. And she rolled a 19 and a 17. So Mel gets a 31 on stealth. All right, so yes, I think she does land because the wings are not buzzing. So you quickly tell Mel with some signals to land. You give her the hand signals that you've prearranged with her to land. So you've got a 27 for the horse, a 31 for Mel, and a 38 for you. As she lands nearby, you quickly just hold onto the tree, and you started to undo the net, but as it approached, at this point, you can see it is probably a 12 or so feet tall, giant ape-like creature, but it has 4 arms. It has huge teeth with tusks out the side. It has horns that go from the start of its head round to the back, and its eyes seem to be solid red and glowing. Are you above it? No, you're probably about 8 feet up a tree, and it is towering in that respect. It gets to about where you were sleeping, well, not exactly because you're right by the net, but it gets about 20 feet back. Starts to move forwards a little bit towards you. Keep in mind, as I've said before, no matter how good your stealth check is, if you are just standing out in the open in front of somebody, they'll still see you. So yes, you got a 38 on stealth, but if it comes right over to your net, it will still see you. Does it look like anything we might recognise or have heard of? It does not. I'll see how familiar you are with apes, being that they're not native to this country at all. With a nature check, 9 plus your nature, 12. You're not super familiar. Like maybe you've seen a book, like maybe you've seen a single drawing in a book one time of some humanoidish looking animals that live in other places. You're not super familiar with apes or monkeys, but you've possibly heard of them. For your players' perspective, though, you can imagine a giant 4-armed ape with horns and tusks and glowing red eyes. Camo cloak. You quickly sort of reach your hand out, trying as best you can to stealthily grab it. You wait until it looks the other way, and then you whip it out and over the shoulders and think about the surroundings of your tree in your direct vicinity, and try your best to camouflage yourself underneath your camouflaged cloak. You can shoot an arrow into the woods, hope it hears and thinks we fled. That's a good idea, lady. You could try that. Carefully back us and the horse away, trying to stick to the shadows as much as possible. You look down and you can see that the horse is kind of wreathed in this this almost camouflage-like shadow that's blending him in with the surroundings a little. So even though the gorilla-like thing has looked your way a couple of times, it doesn't seem to have seen you. We're full health and ready to go. Let's kill this thing. You can certainly try if you want. The net's not worth staying. We can afford another. That is a good point. We can definitely afford another. It would hear the twang of a bowstring, probably. Does it seem aggressively searching for us? It was aggressively running in this direction until pretty much when you cast Pass Without a Trace and ran up the tree, and then it stopped, and it seems like it's sniffing, and it definitely seems like it was hunting. With red eyes, does that mean it's possessed? Would you know that? Let's see. Let's make an Arcana check, see how much you know about possession magics. 12 plus your Arcana of 3, 15. You would know that there are possession magics, there are enchantment magics that can force a person to be charmed by you, there's magics that can force a person to be magically frightened by you, and so on. You know that some ghosts and undead creatures can possess people and force them to do things against their will. You are unfamiliar with whether or not it has any outward appearance about red eyes or not. So, unfortunately, you don't know enough about it to know whether or not the red eyes are indicative of being a possession or not. Drop some caltrops behind as we run. All right, so I'm going to put it to a poll. What to do? We can distract it. So that's either throw something into the distance or twang a bow off and an arrow off into the trees nearby or something. Somehow distract it. You can run. So like get on the horse and gallop away and hope that the stealth is enough to put it off of your path. You can try and sneak away. So maybe not on horseback. Maybe you just kind of like climb down and walk away and try and split the party away from him, maybe, or just like get on the horse and just quietly walk away, hoping the stealth is enough. So run away, sneak away, Distract it first. What else? Stay here. Wait it out. I'll put wait it out. Hope that it gets bored and leaves. Is there anything else? Oh, attack it, of course, is the other option. A few people wanted to just straight up take it. Alright, with 74% of the vote, Apis decides they are going to try and distract this thing to get it away. Do we want to use an arrow, which can go further, and therefore distract it further in a different direction, but has the risk of the bowstring being heard? Or do we want to just throw a rock, which obviously won't go that far, but it doesn't have any possibility that it can hear us throwing it in the first place. It will only hear where it lands. So arrow or rock, which do we want? Or if you have another option, you can put that as well. Most people just say and throw the panpipes. We've got no need for them. Fuck. Just our luck though, as the panpipes are whistling through the air would catch across the edge of them and go. Alright, most people say in arrow, so we'll just very stealthily draw an arrow from our quiver, one of the infinite question mark arrows. Bringing it back, you can feel the drawstring. You can feel the bowstring creaking beneath your fingers, but you can't really hear it. You just take aim as it's getting real close now. It's probably only 20 feet or so from you in the net. If it gets any closer, it will see you. Aiming off to one side, you loose the arrow. There is a twang of the arrow string, but it is so quiet that you can barely hear it even next to it. With Pass Without a Trace, that's one of the properties, makes it super quiet and stealthy. You make an attack at a random point in the distance, and then it hits into some wood. And let me just check something real quick. It thuds somewhere behind it, and then there's a moment, and then it goes. And then it turns and starts to leave. It starts to go in the direction of the arrow, but not quickly. What now? Just wait it out. Wait for a bit, grab the cloak, and leave. Alright. So you wait for a bit. It gets a little further out of sight. You can definitely still hear it. I'm just going to make a perception check to see in the darkness, in the dim light. I'm just going to see something real quick. Disadvantage because dim light. 5 plus your perception, even with a +8 from your forest bonus. Is that enough? Let me check. Alright. You can tell that it's still nearby. You, quiet as you can, while concentrating on Pass Without a Trace, you undo the net from one side. You scurry your way along the branch, and a couple of twigs are breaking off, but you can barely hear them. You undo the net on the other side. After a moment, you're pretty sure it's gone. You place it up in your bag. It seemed to have gone the way that you'd come from. You climb down and get on the horse, and you start quietly trotting away in the opposite direction, the direction you were going. There's only about a minute or so passes before the path that you're on suddenly stops. It stops at a thicket of very thick, decayed, broken branches and trees, dead wooden trees. It seems like they have been here always, but you're pretty sure that this is the path that you were taking in the first place. This is a path that has been blocked off by branches and trees, it seems, but not piled up. Check for illusion. Redial. I will check for illusion for you. This is going to be an investigation check, which is a +3 for you. 19. With a 19, you step forwards and wondering, these trees shouldn't be here. They haven't been piled up, but they're not... It seems like they're trying to grow out of the path, but it doesn't. Something doesn't seem right about this. With your proficiency with your favoured terrain being forest, something about the way that these trees are growing out of this path doesn't seem right. You look real close and you realise some of these branches are kind of overlapping each other, and I don't mean on top of one another. I mean like they're clipping through one another, like a badly CGI'd forest. As soon as you come to that realisation, you see that the trees in front of you blocking the path start to sort of fade and go a little translucent, a little grey, and you can see through the illusion, realising, yes, these trees are indeed an illusion. There is about a 15-foot cube of illusory trees blocking your path. What do you want to do? Can we just walk through it? You absolutely can, yeah. Stomp through them. You walk over to the trees, you push the horse forwards. The horse has not realised it's an illusion, so the horse is... You're having to... in fact, I'll have to make an animal handling check to see if you can force the horse to just walk into this thick bramble. With your animal handling check, that was an 11, plus your animal handling of 5, 16, that's enough. With a 16, you manage to convince this horse to walk forwards against its will, because it's thinking that it's walking into brambles, but as soon as it starts to step forwards, it realises there's nothing there to it, and as soon as you realise there's nothing there, the illusion becomes illusory for you. The horse seems to realise and walk through, and then you hear this
Spoil sport
from nearby in the trees. You look over that way, and flittering down towards you, a tiny foot-sized, a foot-tall fairy creature that you've seen once in your dreams before, with matted hair over the face and little fairy sprite-like wings. It is not the little shit. This seems to be Exilia, a tiny little fairy that gave you the beetle in one of your dreams.
And she says, "You didn't even run from it. It's just, you're so boring."
What do you say? You say, "I don't run." You say, "It was obvious. What do you want?"
Says, "Well, I wanted some fun, but whatever."
"Well, the gorilla monster might be more fun for you to play with." And she says,
Oh, okay. I would get out of here though if you don't want to play with it, because it'll probably come back.
"Look, we just killed a dragon. Are we going to run from an ape?"
And she says, "Well, I thought you would, so I'm gonna have to up my opportunity next, up my challenge next time, I suppose."
"Did you send it?"
She said, "Send it. I made it."
And she just sort of waves her hand, and right next to you appears that same gorilla towering over you. It screams at you and starts slamming the ground. And as you can hear the ground slamming, you realise you can't feel the ground slamming. The entire time that it was running towards you and thump, 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 all the times that I was rolling perception, it was to see if you could tell that the ground wasn't actually shaking. The gorilla, as well as the trees, was an illusion.
"You're no fun, Apis. Kurapira said you'd be fun."
"Do we have a free jar and herbalism kit? I want to catch it." It's quite impressive. You're good at this."
"Oh, thank you."
"Can you leave it next to..." Oh, by the way, when it appeared next to you, yeah, the horse definitely freaked the fuck out and reared up behind you, fell down off of the back of the horse. Actually, yeah, nat one. Yeah, you definitely fell off the horse. Wham! You slammed onto your back, and the horse started bolting into the dead forest.
She goes, "Oh, well, at least it scared somebody."
You climbed to your feet. "Did that merry gentleman send you?" And she says,
"Yes, some people call him that."
"Oh god, now we've lost the horse." Magic rope the horse. You get to your feet. You quickly, for God's sake, and you grab your magic rope out and you extend it out and you use the elven word for catch, and it whips out towards the horse. Nat 20. The horse managed to evade the capture from the rope and sets off into the forest further. It is now out of the range of your rope, and you're going to have to hunt that horse down if you want it. Do you mind? We just bought that. She says.
That's what makes it even funnier, I suppose.
Well, you better go get me that horse back.
Or else what?
Tell your master he's cost me a horse.
Tell him yourself. He's waiting for you.
You set off chasing after the horse. You set off walking in the direction of the horse, and she catches up with you. You sort of at a bit of a jog, trying to go in the direction the horse went, and she sets off after you with the gorilla coming after. And you're like, "Could you leave that behind, please? I'm trying to get the horse back." And she says, "Oh, is this scaring the horse? I didn't realise." And then one last time, she turns to him and says, "You can go now." And then it rears back and goes and roars, and you can hear some insects and things start to scuttle away, and there's other creatures in this forest that disappear at the sound of it, and the horse, you can hear it take off into a proper gallop now and through the trees, and it's smashing into trees and snapping twigs and branches, and then just as it roars, it disappears in like green glitter. I didn't even vote for the horse all 3 times, but now I feel responsible for it, so screw the merry gentleman, I want the horse. Can we trick the sprite into finding it for us by saying she wouldn't be able to? You can try. Let's make a reverse psychology check. You're not proficient in reverse psychology, so this is just straight charisma, and that is an 11. So 12 total. 12 total reverse psychology. Let's see if let's roll an insight check on her part. See if she falls for the reverse psychology. 17. She beat your 12, so she doesn't fall for it. And you say, "Look, I bet you couldn't even catch that horse if you tried." And she says, "Yeah, no, you're probably right." And then she kind of just like lies back, and she's just flying like upside down, like doing backstroke in a pool, but her wings are beneath her, keeping her up as she's flying backwards and lying down next to you as you jogging through the trees after the horse. Would the horse be super? Yeah, we dropped concentration. Did you drop concentration? You've got pass without a trace up. When you landed on your back off the horse, you managed to concentrate on it. You can choose to drop concentration on the horse on the pass without trace if you want, but the horse is now out of your 30-foot range, so the horse is no longer getting the stealth bonus, and you can definitely keep following where it's going. It's definitely leaving a trail. Are we close to a portal to the Feywild? And at that, she kind of sits right upright and says,
"What are you asking me for?"
She seems frustrated. "Look, maybe I won't even go to your master after this nonsense. We cast protection on the horses that not grant any benefits from the illusion. It did, but it doesn't get us. It doesn't have to make a saving throw. It's not an attack against the horse, and it wasn't magically frightened. It was just frightened by the noise. It was just naturally frightened. So it didn't get any like saves that it would have advantage on. I prefer Bobby. He seemed lazier than this one." Light a torch to make tracking easier. Could do if you want. I mean, Apis is very capable of tracking. You've got +8 to your survival, so you've got a +8 tracking, and you have advantage, I think, in your favourite terrain or something like that. So this horse is not trying to not leave tracks; it is galloping through a broken down forest, so it's snapping off trees, snapping off twigs and things left, right, and centre. It's definitely leaving a very clear trail. The more important thing is not finding it, but finding it before it hurts itself. "Look, are you done amusing yourself? Can we get to why you're here now?" She says,
"Oh, I thought that was clear. Kurapira wants to speak with you, and you've been keeping him waiting for a while. Time works differently where we're from, so sometimes when you leave it a few days, it's been a few weeks for us, so maybe get on with it." He basically just wants to know what he has to do to get you home. He's already given you a way to find him, he's given you incentive. He doesn't like being kept waiting. "Oh, that little beetle of yours. Yeah, it's very handy, thank you." "Oh, so you do remember it."
Your costly schemes are making travelling to your master very unappealing. She disappears in a cloud of green glitter and then reappears on the other side of you.
But it's fun.
Look, my horse is going to come up lame at this rate, and your master will have to wait longer because you scared it.
That's not how he'll see it. He'll see that you weren't capable of keeping a hold of a horse. How are you going to traverse the plains and save the world if you can't even control a single horse?
Why can't he come here?
Well, maybe you'd have to ask him. Things are complicated when you...
And she disappears and reappears.
Travel through the plains.
What do you mean home, and what incentive?
Well, get you to where you need to be.
You stop pissing about and distracting me with imaginary monsters, so we're a bit busy, okay?
Okay.
You ignore her as she just kind of floats alongside you for a little bit longer, and eventually you manage to find where the horse is. The horse has gotten injured in the way. I'm going to see how injured. The horse is not looking too great. It's taken a lot of scratches to the body, most of which are superficial, but it's also definitely taken some damage to its ankles, like tripping over things and running into stuff. It'll survive, but it's not in tip-top shape. Cure wounds on the horse? Yes or no? Thumbs up, thumbs down in the chat. Do you want to cast Cure Wounds on the horse at level 1? That should heal most of its superficial wounds. Yeah, most people saying yes there. Did we get your net back? You did. Yes, you did. You catch up to the horse. You cure wounds on it. You tuck down into where you felt your pool of magic coming from. Your connection to Flonanshale, goddess of healing. And as you run your hands over the horse, just keeping it calm and quiet, you can feel that as you're running your hands over the cuts, they are left healed as your hand comes out the other side of it. This is why, chat. This is why I didn't want a horse. They're a major resource sink. But you can get around pretty quickly, though. I'm sorry, buddy. I hope this helps. You calm the horse down. It feels a lot better once you've finished your cure wounds on it. Is there a way to bond with the horse so it sounds its way back on its own? I mean, over time, yeah. You've only had it for half a day. She this fairy flits around you and says,
Well, you got the horse back.
She looks at you sort of expectantly. Look, if you don't mind, I need to rest now, okay? So, can you leave me alone for a night? Maybe then I'll have the energy to actually visit your master.
Says, okay, I'll tell him that you're on your way then.
And then she disappears in a greenish smoke again. You wait for her to come back and she doesn't. Mel's with you, yeah. Mel is always with you. You set up your hammock again? Tie up the horse again? Go to sleep again? Just randomly stab out into space just in case she's there and invisible. Bedroll on the ground, forget the hammock. Alright, so you just get the bedroll out, you lay it on the ground, you start to go to sleep. You're woken a couple of times in the night by like itching and insects crawling on you, and you kind of dust them off, try and roll over, go back to sleep. It's kind of creeps you out a little bit to be just surrounded by so many like termites and wood lice and stuff. But you are tired enough that with that whole interlude, your long rest needed to be gotten again. But eventually, you finish your long rest. It's a little later into the morning than you're used to waking up, but you have a long rest. You regain your expended spell slots. You regain one of your hit dice if you'd spent one, but you hadn't, so you're fine. I believe you are back to good. The morning has risen. You have your horse. You can make it to Shadridge. What do you want to do? Alright, so you set off towards Shadridge. You make it there by about noon on horseback. It's a relatively short ride. You make it all the way to Shadridge, and as you come into Shadridge, the entire place is on fire. No, it's not. It's not on fire. It was on fire several days ago. It's now ash. The entire place is exactly as you left it. people here are doing their business, going about their daily lives. It's not on fire. It's not burned down. Nothing outwardly seems like it's. Swear to God, nothing outwardly seems to have happened to Shadridge in your time being gone from the place. You make your way to Edith's place. You hitch your horse outside of Edith's shop. People in the streets kind of acknowledge that you're there and sort of cordially say hello to you and stuff. And then you walk into Edith's shop. Tring! You see that there is a young woman there you recognise as Toria, an acquaintance of yours who came to Shadridge in order to study the art of making mead. But has since instead been studying the art of making potions. Satoria's here making potions. She acknowledges when you enter. She says, "Apis, it's good to see you again. I didn't expect you." Edith, Apis is here. You say, "Morning, Toria. How you been?" And she gives you sort of general small talk, general chit chat. She's been fine. There's nothing. She doesn't report anything particular going on in Shadridge at the moment. You eventually hear some scraping and moving of various things, and opening the door to the back room. Out comes Edith, a doddery old lady who's potion maker and alchemist. She looks a lot stronger now than when you last saw her. It seems like she's gotten back her usual strength. Obviously, she's still relatively frail given her age, but she's looks a lot more lively. Looks like she's got several years left in her, probably. See, I've got something special for you, Edith. She says, "Oh yes, what was that?" Well, I had the opportunity to collect some blood. She says, "Oh, manticore? No?" I say, "No, not manticore this time. I thought you might be able to make something of this." And you hand out the vial of dragon blood. She says, "Okay." So, firstly, sorry that I didn't get it as preserved as early as I should have. I'm not sure. It was probably I wasn't able to get back here as quickly as soon as I would have liked. But eventually, yesterday morning, I had a wizard of sorts do a little preservation on it. So hopefully it's good to use. She says, "Oh, I'm sure it'll be fine, love. Thank you very much for bringing me it. See if I can work out what this is then, eh?" Let's see if she can. She has... Oh no. She's not doing her best job today. Her ideas are elsewhere. She had advantage and rolled a 3 on both. So it's got flecks of something. It started to coagulate, but I'd say that this is the blood of... What's the flecks of things in there? Is it some sort of giant snake? See, not too far wrong. And you turn around and show the dragon on the back of the cloak. She says, "Is this dragon blood?" You say, "It is. Green dragon blood, particularly." "Well, I never." See, yeah, that's from a young dragon called Lucifreak that attacked the town of Fondirg to the south here. "Is that right? We heard rumours that Fondirg had been attacked by something, but they were just rumours. That's something else, is that, isn't it?" And she takes a good close look at it now. "Wow. Well, that'll fetch you a pretty penny, won't it?" And she hands it back to you. Aye, it was quite the hassle dealing with him, let me tell you. You say, no, it's for you, Edith. And you hand it to her. What do you mean? It's for you. Keep it as a gift. Oh, why would you... No. Let me get you something for it, though. Toria, you were working on some potions, weren't you? Have you still got any potions of healing on you? You say, I've got one. You say, oh, well, Toria, you can get him another one, can't you? Toria says, yeah, I've been working on something. She's been practicing for a while now. Let's see how good she is at making this potion. How good is these potions she's made? With advantage, she got a double 7. So below average, but she does have modifiers to add to that. So around about average. She goes and gets you a single potion of light healing, and she gives you that in exchange for of this vial of dragon blood. I will add your potion. Say, oh well, thank you very much for that. It was unnecessary. It was a gift. You didn't need to. And she says, well, you know, good turn. One good turn deserves another. Thank you for thinking of me, Apis love. You're such a sweet, gentle person. She toddles off to like behind her desk, and she brings out like test tube holder situation, places the vial down in that. Then she goes off into the back room and starts coming back through with like Bunsen burner and equipment and things. She's going to start working on this vial of dragon blood immediately. See if she can salvage any of it as useful materials. Has the mead at the pub gotten any better? And Toria says, well, I hope so. It's still my first, my second batch, but I think I'm getting the hang of it. They say that it's better than Gretchen's swill. No, that was their words, not mine. Get some more vials. Yeah, you can get some empty vials if you guys want. Do you have anything else that you can sell us that's any use, Edith? She says, oh well, you're welcome to have a look around, dear. So you have a look around, and as before, she's got the usual stuff. She is a tiny frontier town alchemist, so she doesn't have access to a hell of a lot of magical stuff. But she does have a couple more potions of healing. If you want them, you can buy them. Generally speaking, she'll be selling them for a slightly more wholesale price than retail, because although they do make them, it takes them quite a bit of coin to do it. It'll be more than if you'd bought it straight from the elves or something, for instance. She's got some Prin Salve, which you've used before. It's good for avoiding or for healing lingering injuries like broken ribs and things. What else would she have? She's probably got a potion of climbing, maybe a potion of comprehension or something. You can have a look around, and if there's a potion that you particularly want as Apis, I'll roll to see if she has one. She doesn't have anything of like rare or rarer. She would have potions of uncommon at most. She'd also have several books and herbalism kits and vials and things that you can buy. Anything that would heal a horse well? She says, well, most of the healing potions that you can get heal animals as well as people. You could heal a horse with a potion of healing if you can get it to drink it. Potions of healing do have some effect if you apply them directly to wounds, but it's much more effective if you can get the horse to imbibe the potion. Potion of please Rob, don't kill the horse. I'm not going to just straight up kill the horse without you there to do something to prevent it, don't worry. Some empty vials, healing potion, salve from the elven villagers. Cute new hat. What do we want? Do we want to buy something from her or not? Yes or no? The salve will be cheaper in the elven towns. All of your potions will generally be cheaper if you get them from the source, which is where you're going. You're going to the elven towns to buy to get your cloak back. So if you want to buy potions, it'd save you some money to buy them from the source. Apis has a brewery kit. You do have a brewery kit. You own a brewery kit. You don't have one on you. You left it with Toria, this lady in the shop with you. She has been using it to make mead. Vials and one more potion of healing. Yeah. Alright, so you buy some vials. I'll say it's... if you're buying... glassware, relatively difficult to make in this day and age. I will say that a vial is a silver piece. So how many vials do you want, given that she'll sell you them for 1 silver piece per vial? Can we get a few empty vials? I'm all out, in case we come across something of intrigue like blood and things. I would use the ones from the potions we've been drinking, but as you mentioned last time, she says, yeah, contamination, as she's setting up like this very small sort of candle-sized Bunsen burnery thing. 2, 5, 4, 5, 3, 5, 4, 5, 5. All right, most people saying 5. We'll get 5 empty vials. All right, we will go 5 empty vials. Bing. We grab the vials from her, and we're kind of like stuffing them down the sides of bags, and she's like, "You're going to be careful with those, love. They might break if you're not. If you got pretty. Looks like your bag's sort of straining at the seams there." Oh yes, remove the blood. Thank you. So you've got some empty vials. You have learned that there's nothing going on in Shadridge that is a major concern. You ask her about Sally, and she says Sally hasn't returned. There's been no talk of her. Franklin seems to be over her and moving on with his life, which is good. The knights are still recovering from their loss. Oliver is being trained up as a knight and is doing a very good job. Morn has got his blacksmith shop up and running and is doing a very good job of that as well. Everybody's just kind of doing their thing. Frontier town still growing. Everybody's working like every hour God sends to try and make this this town a viable place to live. I really think we should offload some money, perhaps some to the stash, some to the bank, keep some in that quiver. It's way harder to lose it all in one go. That's a good point. You are now in Shadridge, and the stashed 49 gold pieces that you can see down there on your purse, that is in a secure place in the woods nearby Shadridge. So if you wanted to resupply or to put some of your found Luciferic gold in your riverbank stash, you can do so. Check on Franklin. Ask the beetle for the closest plane. Do you want another potion of light healing? Thumbs up if you want to buy another potion. Thumbs down if you don't. At this place, because you're a friend of Edith's, she doesn't want to lose money, but she can give you a bit of a friend's rate. I will say she will give you it for... She will offer them for sale for you for 38 gold. No, sorry. 33 gold. 33 gold for a potion of light healing. Cut to the merry gentleman tapping his foot in annoyance. There's enough sort of yeses and nos. Let me put it to a 1-minute poll real quick. Buy another potion. Yes or no? You say no. I think I'll leave the potions for now, and you'd probably get it for a lot cheaper from the elves anyway. Tori's with the light healing, yes, because she's still learning. Yeah, she's only able to do potions of light healing. Learning how to make potions could be very lucrative. Yes, if you want to spend the time doing it, it's a very intensive process. And if you want to know my rules on potion making, you can find them on my Patreon. Hashtag shameless plug. Should find something to do with that boar tusk. It's taking up a lot of space for a souvenir. Yeah, and a crow feather. A crow feather and a boar tusk taking up a bit of space in your inventory. So what do you want to do then? You're not buying another potion. You've got some empty vials. You've got some extra gold weighing you down. We have a herbalism kit. Ask Edith if there's anything that she can make with them. You said, just out of curiosity, is there anything that you can make with a dragon boar tusk? A dragon boar? Yeah, the dragon in the south, he had an affinity for sleeping with animals and increasing his offspring. He was trying to build an army of half dragon offspring, and the boar tusk I got from the giant boar that I slayed, and then I also got this crow feather from a giant crow dragon thing. Anything you could do with them? And she says, "Oh, I mean, I'd say probably put them on display at the menagerie. Ultimas would be pretty proud of you for slaying so many fantastical beasts, I imagine." Gift them to menagerie if they can't be used. She says, I could possibly make something from them, but I'm not sure what right now off the top of my head. Maybe if we encase them in amber to preserve them as trophies before putting them in Ultima's altar. Yeah, you could do that. The tusk itself, once you've hollowed it out, which you would have as a hunter, you would have done that in your downtime. The tusk itself doesn't need to be preserved. It'll just be. But the feather definitely will degrade over time. Grind them into dust, make potions of strength. That is a potential possibility. Well, it seems like you guys have got a lot of ideas as to what you might want to do with this tusk and this feather. Edith does not have any ideas what she could do with it. She says she'll think about it, and if she thinks of something, she'll let you know. But for now, you'll keep a hold of them. Maybe you'll give them to the elves if they've got something to do with them. Otherwise, you'll give them to the menagerie or something, perhaps. So is there anything else you want from Edith or the potion shop while you are here? Is there any more chit-chat you want? Any extra role play? Otherwise, we will move you on to go and visit Franklin, because I know a few people want to visit Franklin. Move on. All right, so You leave Edith's shop. You leave your horse hitched up outside because it's only a couple doors down to Franklin's bakery. Franklin is the only person in Shadridge whom you, when we started the campaign, would have considered a friend. Apis is a little slow to trust, a little slow to make friends. It's up to you guys whether you would now consider Toria a friend or Briar or whatever, but Franklin is sort of your older friend in the town. You pop into his bakery. It is lunchtime, so there is quite a rush going on at the moment. There are people from all over. Let's say that you ask you as you're telling Edith that you better leave. You're going to go visit Franklin. She says, "Oh, I was just about to send Toria over for our lunch. Would you mind bringing us a couple of sandwiches back? I'll get you some coins, dear." And she gives you a few silver to go and grab them some lunch. So you pop in and you stand in line, and Franklin's busy with him doing his work, making sandwiches, cutting things, doing all sorts of stuff. He's handing them over, wrapping them in paper, getting the money. You get right up to the next person in line before he even recognises that you're there. You say, "Where's my birthday cake?" He says, "Was I meant to make a cake? I'm sorry, I didn't." "Oh, Apis, you cheeky monkey! I didn't. Happy birthday! You weren't here, were you? I was going to make you a cake, and then I didn't know when you'd be back, so you're always coming in and out and dropping in and disappearing again for time. How are you doing, bud? Can I get you anything?" And starts cutting up some bread as he's talking to you. Some lunch for myself, Edith and Toria, please. Some sandwich. She goes, "Oh, same for Edith and Toria." So I don't know what they like, but yeah, if they've got a usual, then... he goes, yeah, they've got a usual. They like ham sandwiches for the most part, and starts to cut up some thick bread and make some sandwiches while he's talking to you. You look a lot better. He says, thank you. I'm feeling a lot better too. It's been a good month so far. Sorry that I wasn't in. I was busy killing dragon, harassing Fondirg. And you turn around show him the cloak, and the other people in the line are like, "Did you really kill a dragon?" And you're like, "I did. I killed a dragon in Fondirg. I also wrestled with a god and beat him, so there's that as well." You chat with him. You catch him up a little bit about the stuff that was happening. There's a bunch of people in the line with you that seemingly are very interested in your stories. We brag too much. Seems like it. You guys have made that choice over several interactions now to brag about certain things. So it makes sense. So you talk about the dragon and stuff you went through, and it takes him a while to finish your order because he's so fascinated with your story, and he's like asking you questions and stuff, and then remembering he's meant to be cutting up some ham to put in this sandwich. Eventually, he hands over your wrapped parcels, and you get the money from Edith. Hands over the change and says, "Well, if you're still around, later, once the lunch rush is done, you pop back in again. I want to speak to you some more. I guess it seems we've got lots to catch up on." And you leave to take the lunch back to Edith and Toria. You hand them their lunch. You sit with them and eat your sandwich with them. It's afternoon. What do you want to do? You've caught up with Edith and Franklin. You want to catch up with the mayor. You do so. When you visit Edith for the lunch, you're like, "Did I tell you that I fought a god?" Cut to, you're at the mayor's house. Mayor... Yeah, I remember his voice. He had a sort of Australian thing going. What was his name, though? What was the mayor's name? Mayor of Shadridge. I could look it up. Jackson, the mayor of Shadridge. A deep Australian sort of voice. Middle-aged human man, dark skin. You go to his place and he goes, "Apis, it's good to see you, mate. How you been?" I've been alright, thanks, Jackson. Just wanted to let you know I'm popping back through. I've been to Fondirg, fought a dragon. Let him know. He says, "So that was true then, the rumours. We unfortunately didn't have we didn't have enough knights of our own, obviously, to send any help, but we heard that there was something going on. I did hear that it was a dragon, but I tried not to spread the rumor too much. It was a bit Obviously, there's easy to spread panic if you start spreading unconfirmed rumors and things. Tell me all about it. Can I get you anything to drink, eat? You're like, I'll have a drink, but I've just finished my lunch. Cut to like an hour later. You've been chatting with the mayor for a bit. You've caught him up to date on all of the stories so far. He tells you that there's been no sign from Sally since. Just need to check something real quick. He tells you no sign from Sally since she left, although Franklin did come to me, and this is between you and me, of course. I'm just telling you because you were so heavily involved with it in the first place. Feel like it's only fair you know. Franklin did come to me about a week or so after she left, and told me that she did pop back into town the day after. She came by his place and begged and pleaded with him to understand that it wasn't what people were saying about her, and she just needed her books back. And he said that in a moment of weakness, he kind of regretted it since, but in a moment of weakness, he did go and get some of her books back for her from the library and gave her them back. And he, well, from what he tells me anyway, he made her promise that she wouldn't ever come back. He said he didn't want to see her anymore, and she left, and he hasn't seen her since, apparently, and we haven't seen her since either. Which books did he get her? He says he can't remember the name of it. It was all kind of a haze to him, apparently. He's not even sure why he did it. He kind of regretted it almost immediately, apparently. Is there anything left that she didn't take? Oh, she didn't take most of it. All of the books that you would have seen were books that remain, I think. It was just like 2 or 3 books, I think he said. Sounds kind of like she charmed him. Oh, you think like with magic? I mean, it's possible. I hadn't really thought of that. Yeah, I suppose it is possible. Do you know if she can do that? I don't know. I imagine that she can. I mean, she's got ways with raising people from the dead and stealing their shadows and things, so she can probably charm a person to do her bidding. Yeah. Well, she could have just charmed him with her feminine wiles. I mean, Franklin's not always been good with the ladies, so I don't mean that by any offense by that, obviously. Like, I just mean that he hasn't had a great track record with dates and things. So, and there's very slim pickings in Shadridge, so she could have just offered him things that he isn't getting elsewhere. Can we go look to see if we remember what's missing? You can if you want. Yeah. Go and search her house for clues. You can do if you want. Yeah. You have done that before, just in case people are relatively new to Twitch Tales. This is the continuation of something that had already happened in the story before. You have kicked her out of town. She ran away and escaped. And then you and the fellow Knights of Kavosna studied her house and like looked for clues and things already. So there's not a great deal you'll be able to find, if anything, after so much time has passed since then. There was someone there taking inventory of the books. They might know what book's missing. Well remembered, Creative Garden. I was wondering if anybody would remember that. Yes, Felicity said that she was going to be taking inventory of all of the books there. So, what do you want to do? You have potentially another slight lead on the whole Sally situation. She's taken a couple of books from her inventory. You could explore that. You could go into the forest and deal with your stashed gold. You could head to the Four Sisters. Where do you guys want to go? You need to give me an idea of what you... you could also stay here in Shadridge. There's plenty of people here that you could talk to and things you could do. She hasn't returned in a long while, apparently. That was the last that anyone in the town has said that they've seen her. We had jingling. Not exactly jingling. Alright, so... Cut a long story short, it is mid-afternoon. You have arrived at your riverbank. You've gone a short walk into the Great Expanse, as it's known. This particular area of forest, you've gone into the Shadridge forest. You've tracked down your riverbank at the fork of two tributaries. You've reached in and pulled out the mossy plug that's in the bottom of like a very large boulder at the side of the thing. You've pulled out a mossy plug and reached in and got a soft leather fold up with 49 gold pieces in there. Still no issues with it. There's a couple of worms and insects around, but nothing has found or taken it. How much gold are you going to leave here? That's the question. How much gold do you have again? Roughly 1,830 gold, minus the 80 from this. I think there was minus something else as well. 5 gold from something else. You took 5 out of the pouch, so minus 85, I want to say. So you've got roughly, let's see, you've got, let's say exactly, 713 gold. 713 gold, a bunch of silver, and some platinum as well. You've got 102 platinum pieces, 713 gold pieces, 156 silver pieces. 102 platinum, 713 gold, and 156 silver. How much of that are you going to stash here in your riverbank where it's safe? You shouldn't stash it all in this one place. If somebody finds it, then it's a huge chunk of our fortune gone. Make at least 1 or 2 other stashes. It is possible that someone could find it, but you have been stashing gold here for a long time and nobody's found it. It is a very secure, like you're in a relatively you're in a relatively geographically secluded forest in the very northwestern tip of this island. The only civilization that you know to be nearby is Shadridge and the elves. They would have to know that it's here in order to find it. Of course, with magic, somebody could cast, like, find object, locate object, and just think about gold, and if they happen to be in the radius, they'd be like, oh shit, there's 500 gold in this rock. But it's very unlikely that anybody will just happen across this and steal it from you. The gold you put here is almost guaranteed to be safe. The only downside is that it's here. So if you ever go south to Shafgushal or whatever, you don't have the gold until you can get back here. Alright, Paul, you have 102 platinum pieces. For anyone who doesn't know, that each platinum piece is 10 gold. So you have 1,020 gold pieces worth of platinum. How much of it do you want to stash here? Stashing your gold here is free, but it is in one location and has the risk of being found, however small that risk is. Stashing it at an official bank, they charge a fee, but you can access that money from anywhere else that has a bank. Alright, 39% wanting to stash 50 platinum, 21% wanting to stash 100, so I'm just going to split the difference and we're going to... Oh, but not many people wanted to stash 75. Fuck it, I'm going to cut to the chase because this is just going to be boring otherwise. We're going to stash 60 of the platinum here. We're going to go into 60 platinum stashed. You're going to keep 42 platinum on you. Stash 69 platinum for the funny number. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Definitely 69 platinum. We're going to stash 69 platinum, nice. And we're going to keep 33 platinum on us. Just because there's a nice number. Alright, gold. How much gold do we want? We have 713 gold on us. Plus the 49 that's already stashed here. So to make it simple, I'm going to add that 49 to make it 762. We have 762 gold total. 762. How much of that do we want to stash? Stash at minimum 420. we should stash 69 platinum and 420 gold. Keep just a bunch of gold on us just for the memes. Just for the lols. Alright, with 42% of the vote wanting to stash 200 and 24% wanting to stash 600, we are closer to the 200 than the 600, so we're going to stash about 300 of it. Seems about right, because halfway would be 400, but we're closer to the 200, so 350 we're going to stash. 350 gold, leaving behind 413 in our pocket. 413 gold in our pocket. Then we are going to say of the silver, we have 165 silver on us. Do we want to stash any of the silver here? All right. 46% saying don't keep any of it on you. Don't store any of it here. 120 saying, 39% of people saying store almost all of it here. So it's very hard for me to come to a conclusion with that. So I'm just going to put it to another poll, just straight away. I can't average that out. Stash silver ? Either keep it all on us or store 120. Those were the two leading votes. Which one's it going to be? The reason that I'm making this such a big deal, by the way, guys, for anyone who is relatively new, is that it's not a guarantee that you just manage to keep your gold on you. In my games, there are muggers, there are people who will pickpocket, there are people that will steal from you. So having money on you is a risk. Depending on where you are and what's the circumstances, of course, you are in a living world. So there is a very real chance that you could get mugged and lose everything. In fact, Apis has been mugged and lost everything before in this very campaign. So it is important to know where you are keeping your money. Are you keeping it all on your person? Or are you keeping it in a bank? Or are you keeping it stashed somewhere? Alright, with 52% of the vote, we're deciding to stash none of the silver and keep all 165 silver on us. Alright, that has concluded what we've got. So I will adjust this in time when I have an app that can control the numbers and has a space for platinum pieces. You are carrying 33 platinum, 413 gold, and 165 silver, and 8 copper. So you're carrying a lot of money. Gold and platinum down your boot, silver jangling in your coin purse. A bank's guaranteed to have no robberies? Nope, but they're much more safe than just storing it in your mattress or whatever. Plus they'll give you some sort of insurance against being robbed. Keep about 15 to 20 gold in our purse, keep the rest in our quiver where it's hidden. Yeah, okie dokie. So that said, you are finished with your bank, your river bank. Is there anything else you want to do? I want to get to a point where I know where you're heading next. So is there anything else you want to do in Shadridge, or are you heading for the Four Sisters? Do you want to go to the menagerie? Do you want to go to the tanner or whoever else? Do you want to restock anything, any supplies at the general store? You want to find Mosh. All right. So you ask around for Mosh now. You go back into the town proper. You ask around for Mosh. You hear from some of the locals that Mosh has not been seen for a while. He was not feeling himself. He was feeling a bit sick. And that he was last seen working on the Colton's farm. He was feeling a little sick, and then maybe like just over a week ago, he stopped coming into town. So you head to the Coltons. It's now getting late into the evening, late into the afternoon, early evening. And you ask Mary Colton where Mosh is, and she says, "Oh yeah, he's working in the barn, but he's not feeling up to visitors and things at the moment." Wasn't the full moon a week ago? Yes, it was. You say, "Do you think he'd see me though?" And she says, "I think he'd rather you leave him for a few more days. He's been sick the last week and a bit, and doesn't really feel up to visitors." What do you want to do? Apparently he's not up to visitors. You can ignore that and go and see him anyway. You know he's apparently in the barn. Been sick since the full moon. For anyone who's joining us, Mosh is an acquaintance of Apis's who is a werefox. Apis knows this. It is not common knowledge among the town of Shadridge, though. Mosh wanted to keep that a secret. He was not proud of it, and usually towns, once they find out, will chase him out and hunt him down and things. It's not the best thing to have a were person in your midst. You say, have you visited him? Because if it's about a personal issue, I already know. She says, what do you already know? I'm going to roll you an insight check real quick. No, it's kind of a 2, but it was kind of cocked. It was definitely cocked, right? That was definitely a 2, though. Fucking hell. I can't even help people out. I give people the sneaky DM ability of being like, no, just roll that again. just roll that again. And then they just rolled really badly again. It just proves it was a 2. So you do not read anything on her face, but she says, what do you mean? You can horseshoe that if you want, if you really want to re-roll the insight check. Put a thumbs up if you want to use your once per day re-roll ability from your lucky horseshoe to re-roll that. Put a thumbs down if you don't. It comes back on dawn. It comes back at the next day. So you get it once per day. You can re-roll. All right, most people saying yes here. We have a horse now. We've got 4 per day horseshoes. That's how it works, right? All horseshoes are lucky. All right. Oops, shit. Well, I lost that dice forever. This one then. Oh, god damn it. Stay where you're meant to be. That is a 9. 9 plus your insight of 2 is an 11. With an 11, you can see there's apprehension to her asking what you mean by personal issue. There is a possibility, you're not 100% sure, but there's a possibility that she is aware of the situation. She's not aware. She's aware of the situation. Do you want to bring it up or not? What are you doing? See, I can just talk to him through the door of the barn. And she says, I mean, you do you, but I don't tell, let him know that I told you he didn't want to see people. See, I'll take my chances. So you head away from the farmhouse and down towards the barn. And you can hear movement around inside the barn. And you sort of knock on the barn door. And you hear the movement stop. Mosh, you in there? Apis? Yeah, it's me. How you doing? I'm doing alright. How are you doing? I'm fine. Come in. You open the barn door and walk in, and you can see that he's just shoveling with a pitchfork. He's shoveling some used hay and straw bedding up into like a wheelbarrow and replacing it with some fresh. He looks okay. He looks relatively strong and healthy. He's got bags under his eyes, like he's perhaps not sleeping too well, but other than that, he's doing all right. How you holding up? He says, what do you mean? I mean, like, how are you? I haven't been in Shadridge for a while. I presume you had a rough weekend last week. You wanted to check in, make sure you're doing okay with everything. He says, oh. Did Mary tell you? Say, no. Does she? No. He says, she does now. He say, is she okay with it? He say, I mean, she understands, I think. She's let me stay working here. Is everything okay? Yeah. Is there something you're not telling me? He says, I killed someone. And that's where we're going to leave it for today. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody. I will see you here next time on Twitch Tales. Bye. Damn, that was an exciting episode, wasn't it? If you want to be a part of the Hive Mind Live and actually contribute to the story, you need to go over to Twitch and drop me a follow. Thank you.